Most people celebrate their credit card rewards. They treat these programs like they've discovered a loophole in the financial system, a way to beat the banks at their own game. But here's what I learned from building algorithms that process billions of data points. When you think you're getting something for free, you're usually the product being optimized. The credit card reward system isn't designed to help you. It's designed to exploit predictable patterns in human behavior. And most people fall into the trap without ever realizing it. The problem with credit card rewards is not that they don't exist. The mathematics shows they do deliver value, sometimes substantial value if used correctly. But the same mathematics shows something far more important. The system only works if most people use it incorrectly. Think about that for a moment. The entire economic model depends on human error. The rewards you earn are funded by the mistakes other people make, and statistically, you're far more likely to be funding someone else's rewards than collecting your own. This is why I approach this topic not as a moralist telling you what to do, but as someone who spent 50 years studying systems and probabilities. The credit card rewards trap isn't about right or wrong. It's about understanding the mathematics of behavior and recognizing when you're being played by a system that knows you better than you know yourself. Let me share 3 fundamental lessons I've learned about why credit card rewards programs function as psychological traps, and more importantly, how understanding these mechanisms can change the way you think about money entirely. The first lesson is about what I call the illusion of optimization. I've met countless intelligent people, PhDs in physics and mathematics, who proudly tell me about their credit card strategy. They have spreadsheets, they track their spending categories, they calculate their effective return rates, they feel like they're running a sophisticated operation. But when I look at their actual spending data over time, I see something they don't see. They're spending more money to earn more rewards. Here's the mechanism at work. When you have a rewards program, every purchase comes with a psychological subsidy. You're not just buying a product, you're also earning points, miles, or cash back. Your brain processes this as a discount, even though it's not. If something costs $100 and you earn $2 back, you didn't pay $98. You paid $100 and received a small future credit that you'll probably spend on something else you don't need. The data on this is unambiguous. Studies show that people with rewards credit cards spend between 12 and 18% more than people using cash or debit cards, even when controlling for income and other variables. Think about that mathematically. If you're earning 2% back but spending 15% more, you're losing 13% on every transaction. You're literally paying the credit card company to make you feel smart. I saw this same pattern in the markets for years. Traders would develop elaborate systems they believed gave them an edge, but when you analyze their actual performance, the complexity was costing them more than the edge was worth. They were optimizing for the feeling of being sophisticated rather than for actual returns. The same thing happens with credit card rewards. People optimize for points instead of optimizing for not spending money they don't need to spend. Let me tell you about a colleague of mine, someone brilliant by any measure. He had this elaborate system where he would use 5 different credit cards to maximize rewards in different categories. Groceries on one card, gas on another, restaurants on a third, travel on a fourth, everything else on a fifth. He probably spent 2 hours a month managing this system, tracking his spending, making sure he was using the right card for each purchase. He was earning about $600 a year in rewards. But when we sat down and looked at his spending over a 3-year period compared to before he started this system, his annual spending had increased by about $4,000. He was losing $3,300 a year to feel like he was winning. The trap isn't the rewards themselves. The trap is that rewards change your decision-making framework. Instead of asking, do I need this? You start asking, which card should I use to maximize rewards on this? The question itself assumes the purchase. That subtle shift in framing costs you more than you can imagine. The second lesson is about manufactured urgency and false scarcity. Credit card companies understand something fundamental about human psychology. We're not wired to think probabilistically about future events. We overweight immediate gratification and underweight future costs. The entire reward structure is designed to exploit this temporal discounting. Every rewards program comes with rules designed to make you act now. Points expire. Bonuses require minimum spending within specific time frames. Special multipliers are available only for limited periods. Redemption values change. These aren't accidents. They're carefully calibrated systems designed to trigger loss aversion, one of the most powerful cognitive biases humans possess. Loss aversion is the tendency to prefer avoiding losses over acquiring equivalent gains. Research shows that the pain of losing something is roughly twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining something of equal value. Credit card companies weaponize this. When they tell you that you'll lose your points if you don't use them by a certain date, you feel that potential loss acutely. When they offer you triple points for the next 3 months, you feel the urgency to capture that limited time gain. Both mechanisms push you toward spending money you otherwise wouldn't spend. Most people mess this up because they miss one key rule. That's why I want you to watch Invest or Pay Off Your Loan, the F-squared rule, Freedom Fund rule first. I've added a card at the top, click it now, then come back. Everything will click after that. Here's a simple mathematical truth. If you need to spend money to earn rewards, the rewards aren't free. They're a discount on unnecessary spending. And unnecessary spending, even at a discount, is still a loss. This seems obvious when I state it clearly, but the psychological framing makes it invisible to most people in the moment of decision. I remember analyzing spending patterns for a project years ago, looking at how different payment methods affected consumer behavior. What stood out wasn't just that people spent more with credit cards. It was that they spent more on items they later reported not needing when they were chasing rewards. The rewards program literally caused them to make purchases they would have otherwise avoided, then rationalize those purchases as smart decisions because they earned points. The mechanism is elegant in its simplicity. The credit card company offers you 3 times points on dining for the next 90 days. You now have a reason to eat out more frequently. You frame this as taking advantage of a special offer, being strategic, maximizing value. But the truth is simpler. You're spending more money on food than you would have otherwise, and the credit card company is profiting from your increased spending far more than you're benefiting from the additional points. This brings me to the third lesson, which is about the mathematical reality of how these programs actually function. Credit card rewards are not gifts. They're not bonuses. They're a wealth transfer mechanism, and understanding the direction of that transfer is crucial. Here's how the system works at scale. Credit card companies charge merchants a fee for every transaction, typically between 2 and 3%. Part of that fee funds the rewards program. So when you earn 2% cash back, you're not getting free money. You're getting a portion of the fee that was already embedded in the price you paid. The merchant increased their prices to cover the credit card processing fees, and the credit card company is giving you back a fraction of what you already paid in hidden costs. But it gets more interesting. The system only remains profitable because most people don't maximize their rewards, and many people carry balances and pay interest. The average credit card interest rate is around 20% annually. If even a small percentage of cardholders carry balances, that interest income dwarfs the cost of rewards for responsible users. The people who pay interest are subsidizing the rewards for people who don't. And the entire system is designed to convert responsible users into people who carry balances. This is where the psychology becomes truly insidious. The rewards program gets you in the door. It makes you use the card more frequently. It normalizes having a credit card balance because you're earning rewards on that balance. And then, inevitably, life happens. You have an unexpected expense. You overspend 1 month. You tell yourself you'll pay it off next month. But next month comes with its own expenses, and suddenly you're carrying a balance and paying interest. The rewards you earned become meaningless compared to the interest you're paying. I've spent my career looking for mathematical edges, tiny inefficiencies in systems that could be exploited for profit. The credit card reward system is one of those rare cases where the edge is clear but almost impossible to maintain over time because the system itself is designed to erode your discipline. It's like a casino that gives you free chips. Sure, you can take the chips and walk away, but the entire environment is designed to make walking away the least likely outcome. Let me share something I observed in the financial markets that applies perfectly here. When we were developing trading algorithms, we noticed that the best strategies were often the simplest ones, but they required absolute discipline. The moment you started adding complexity, whether to chase slightly better returns or to feel more sophisticated, performance degraded, the complexity created more opportunities for error than it created additional profit. The same principle applies to credit card rewards. The optimal strategy is simple. Use a single card that gives you a flat percentage back on everything, pay it off immediately, and never think about it again. But credit card companies don't want you to do that. They want you to have multiple cards, to think about categories and bonuses and special offers. They want you to engage with the system because engagement leads to spending. The complexity isn't there to help you. It's there to distract you from the fundamental question, do I need to make this purchase at all? Now, let me address what I think is the deepest trap in this entire system. Credit card rewards change your relationship with money in a way that's difficult to reverse once it happens. They train you to think about spending as an opportunity rather than a cost. This might be the most dangerous psychological shift of all. When you don't have rewards, spending money is straightforward. You have a certain amount of money. Each purchase reduces that amount. You feel the loss directly. This creates natural friction that prevents unnecessary spending. But when you add rewards, spending becomes more abstract. You're not just losing money, you're also gaining points. Your brain starts to process spending as a complex transaction with both costs and benefits, which makes it much easier to justify. This is exactly what credit card companies want. They want spending to feel good. They want you to associate using your card with winning, with being smart, with making progress towards some reward. And once that association is established, it becomes self-reinforcing. You spend more to earn more rewards, which makes you feel smarter, which encourages you to spend even more. I've always believed that successful investing requires you to be emotionally detached from your decisions. You can't let fear or greed drive your actions. You need to follow your system, trust your mathematics, and ignore the noise. But credit card rewards are designed to do the exact opposite. They're designed to make you emotionally invested in spending. Every purchase comes with a little dopamine hit from the rewards you earned. That emotional response overrides your rational analysis. The data backs this up in striking ways. Research shows that people have much better recall of the rewards they earn than the total amount they spend. If you ask someone with a rewards credit card how much they earned last year, they'll probably have a rough idea. If you ask them how much they spent, they often significantly underestimate. This isn't an accident. The system is designed to make the rewards salient and the costs invisible. Think about this from a systematic perspective. If you were designing a mechanism to make people spend more money than they should, what would you do? You'd remove the pain of payment by making it abstract. You'd add a reward to every transaction to make spending feel positive. You'd create complexity to prevent easy analysis of the true costs. You'd manufacture urgency to bypass careful consideration. You'd make people feel smart for participating in the system. That's exactly what credit card rewards programs do, and they do it with extraordinary effectiveness. Here's what troubles me most about this system. It takes people who think they're being rational and sophisticated, people who believe they're optimizing their finances, and it turns them into subjects of a behavioral experiment they don't realize they're part of. The credit card companies have PhDs in psychology and behavioral economics designing these programs. They run thousands of tests to optimize every element of the system. And the average consumer thinks they can outsmart this with a spreadsheet and some discipline. Let me be very direct about something. I'm not saying rewards are always bad or that you should never use credit cards. I'm saying that you need to understand the system you're participating in and recognize that it's designed to profit from your mistakes. If you're going to use credit cards for rewards, you need to approach it with the same rigor you'd approach any financial decision. You need data, not intuition. You need discipline, not cleverness. You need to measure your actual spending over time, not your theoretical optimal strategy. The people who successfully extract value from credit card rewards share certain characteristics. They have strict spending discipline that existed before they started chasing rewards. They pay their balances in full every month without exception. They track their spending meticulously and can prove mathematically that rewards aren't causing spending inflation. They're willing to walk away from rewards if maximizing them would require spending they wouldn't otherwise do. Most importantly, they recognize that rewards are a tiny optimization on top of already excellent financial habits, not a strategy unto themselves. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people who think they have that discipline don't actually have it. They believe they're in control because they pay their balance each month. But they don't realize their overall spending has increased because the rewards program changed their decision-making at the margins. A few extra dinners out, a slightly nicer hotel because it's in the bonus category, an unnecessary purchase because it would put them over the threshold for a sign-up bonus. These small decisions compound over time into substantial costs. This is why I always come back to the same principle. The best financial strategy is the one that removes the most decisions. Every decision is an opportunity for error, especially when you're making that decision in an environment designed to exploit your biases. The credit card rewards game requires constant decisions, constant evaluation, constant optimization. Each of those moments is a moment when you might make a mistake, and the system is designed to make those mistakes profitable for the credit card company. Now, I want you to think about the opportunity cost of this entire system. Let's say you spend 5 hours a month managing your credit card rewards strategy. That's 60 hours a year. If you use those 60 hours to increase your income, to develop new skills, to build real wealth through investing or building a business, what would that be worth? Probably far more than the few hundred or few $1,000s you're earning in rewards. But the rewards game feels productive. It feels like you're doing something smart with your money. So you spend your time and attention on it instead of on things that would create real wealth. This gets to the heart of why I find credit card rewards so problematic. They give people the feeling of being financially sophisticated without the substance of actually building wealth. They're a distraction masquerading as a strategy. And because they require constant attention and optimization, they consume mental energy that could be directed toward decisions that actually matter. I've spent my life building systems that extract value from inefficiencies in markets. The credit card reward system is an inefficiency, but it's one that's incredibly difficult to exploit sustainably because the system itself is designed to prevent sustained exploitation. The only winning move is to recognize that the game isn't worth playing, or if you do play it, to play with such limited engagement that you're essentially not playing at all. Let me give you a concrete example of what I mean. If you use a single credit card that gives you 2% back on everything, pay it off immediately, and never think about rewards when making purchase decisions, you're probably extracting value from the system. You're getting a small discount on spending you were already going to do, and the rewards program isn't changing your behavior. But the moment you start optimizing beyond that, you're entering dangerous territory. The moment you have multiple cards, or you're tracking bonus categories, or you're timing purchases to maximize rewards, you've crossed the line from extracting value to being extracted from. The tragedy is that people rarely recognize when they've crossed that line. The psychological framing makes every additional optimization feel smart. Getting 5% back instead of 2% feels like winning, even if getting that 5% required you to spend money in a category you weren't planning to spend in. The mathematics becomes invisible because the emotional reward is so salient. This is what I mean when I say credit card rewards are a psychological trap. The trap isn't that they don't provide value. The trap is that pursuing that value almost inevitably costs you more than the value itself. It's like fool's gold. It looks valuable, it feels valuable, but when you actually analyze what you're holding, you realize you've been chasing something that was never worth the effort. Before I conclude, I want to address something important. Some of you are probably thinking that you're the exception. You're disciplined. You track everything. You've done the math and you're certain you're coming out ahead. Maybe you're right, but I want you to do something for me. Go back and look at your actual spending data from before you started optimizing credit card rewards compared to now. Not your subjective sense of your spending, but the actual numbers. Account for everything, including the value of your time spent managing the system. Be honest about whether your behavior has changed in ways you didn't intend. If you do that analysis and you're still confident you're winning, then you might be one of the small percentage of people who can successfully extract value from this system. But I've done enough statistical analysis to know that most people who think they're the exception are not. Most people are fooling themselves because the psychological mechanisms are too powerful to overcome with simple willpower and good intentions. Now, here's what I want you to understand about why this matters beyond just credit card rewards. The same psychological mechanisms that make rewards programs effective are at work in countless other areas of finance and life. Retailers use similar tactics with loyalty programs. Investment platforms gamify trading to encourage more transactions. Subscription services make it easy to start and hard to cancel. In every case, sophisticated systems designed by smart people are exploiting predictable patterns in your behavior for profit. The reason I've spent so much time on credit card rewards is because they're a perfect case study in how these systems work. They demonstrate that even when you know the game being played, even when you think you're being rational and strategic, the systems can still beat you. And if these relatively simple rewards programs can do that, imagine what more sophisticated systems can do. This is why developing genuine financial discipline is so crucial. Discipline isn't about having elaborate strategies or feeling clever about small optimizations. Discipline is about having simple rules that you follow absolutely, regardless of what incentives are dangled in front of you. Discipline is about asking, do I need this, before asking, what rewards will I earn? Discipline is about recognizing that every system designed to make you feel smart is probably making you stupid. Let me leave you with this thought. I built Renaissance Technologies into the most successful hedge fund in history by following a few core principles. We eliminated emotion from our decisions. We trusted mathematics over intuition. We kept our strategies as simple as possible while still being effective. We never confused activity with progress. And we always remembered that when something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Credit card rewards seem too good to be true because they are. Not because the rewards don't exist, but because the cost of obtaining them is hidden in ways most people never recognize. The companies offering these programs are not charities. They're not offering you free money out of generosity. They're offering you just enough reward to change your behavior in ways that profit them far more than they cost them. The question you need to ask yourself is simple. Are you using credit cards, or are credit cards using you? Are you making conscious decisions about spending and occasionally earning rewards on that spending, or have rewards become part of how you justify spending you wouldn't otherwise do? Are you optimizing your finances, or are you optimizing your participation in a system designed to extract money from you? Those questions don't have comfortable answers for most people. But answering them honestly is the first step toward developing the kind of financial discipline that actually builds wealth. Discipline that's based on doing less, not more. On simplicity, not complexity. On substance, not the appearance of sophistication. Real wealth isn't built by chasing credit card points. It's built by earning more than you spend, investing the difference wisely, and having the discipline to maintain that pattern over decades. Credit card rewards are, at best, a trivial optimization on top of those fundamentals, and at worst, a distraction that prevents you from focusing on what actually matters. I want you to do something for me right now. Take a moment and write down one specific way you're going to change your thinking about credit card rewards based on what we've discussed. Maybe you're going to cancel some cards and simplify your system. Maybe you're going to track your actual spending compared to before you started chasing rewards. Maybe you're going to implement a rule that you'll never make a purchase solely or primarily because of rewards. Whatever it is, write it down and commit to it. Leave it in the comments so you're accountable to yourself and to this community. And if you found this perspective valuable, if it changed the way you think about credit card rewards or financial decision-making more broadly, click the like button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to this channel if you want more content that cuts through the noise and focuses on the mathematics and psychology of building real wealth. Here's what I want you to remember from everything we've discussed. Credit card rewards programs are designed by people who understand human psychology better than you do, who have more data about spending patterns than you can imagine, and whose entire job is to make you spend more money while feeling smart about it. The rewards are real, but they're funded by behavioral patterns that almost inevitably cost you more than you gain. The system works not because the rewards are generous, but because they're just generous enough to change your decision-making in profitable ways. The trap isn't the existence of rewards. The trap is believing you can consistently outsmart a system designed by experts to exploit your biases. The trap is confusing activity with progress, complexity with sophistication, optimization with discipline. The trap is spending your time and mental energy on trivial gains while missing opportunities for substantial wealth creation. True financial success comes from understanding these systems, recognizing when you're being played, and having the discipline to walk away from games where the odds are against you. It comes from focusing on fundamentals, not gimmicks, from building real wealth through earning and investing, not through chasing points and bonuses, from making fewer decisions, not more, from simplicity, not complexity. That's how I approach building Renaissance technologies, and that's how you should approach your personal finances, with rigor, discipline, and a healthy skepticism of anything that seems designed to make you feel clever. Because in my experience, the things that make you feel clever are usually the things that are making someone else rich at your expense. The real path to wealth is far less exciting, but far more effective. It requires patience, discipline, and the wisdom to recognize that sometimes the smartest move is not to play the game at all,